Hello and welcome to Low Budget Gaming and welcome to another first Descendant video. So Ultimate Yujin build guide. I'm redoing this video. I made one yesterday, but they have already dropped a patch today, 11th of December. They are nerfing the bosses in the new dungeon Forbidden Sanctuary, and also I had mentioned a bug regarding the skill cost in my video yesterday. They have fixed that. So I thought it might just make more sense to redo the whole thing, and I also wanted the video to be shorter because it was a bit too long for my liking. Anyway, let's get into the video and I'll go over the passive and the skills quickly and then show you the build and some adjustments that you can make to the build, and then gameplay from the new Forbidden Sanctuary, the nerf Forbidden Sanctuary. Alright, so first up, the passive skill. For every 5000 HP, you get 10% cooldown up to a maximum of 50% cooldown or 25k HP. So beyond 25k, you'll not get any more cooldown, but if you reach 25k, you'll get a flat 50% cooldown, and this is based on your max total health. So even if your health drops in the mission or something, you'll still retain that 50% cooldown. Now you don't have to take the 50% here. You can take 40% with like 20k HP and then get some mods to get the rest. You may not want 90% cooldown, so depending on how you want to do it, I'll show you some adjustments. So that is the first thing. Now the other thing is when your HP is below 35%, and if you have some nano recovery cells, you can recover 37% of your max HP. So what are these nano recovery cells? These are basically what you get after defeating enemies with your first and third skill. So when you're defeating the enemies, if you see the second half says nano recovery cells acquisition chance when defeating enemies 7%, acquisition cycle 15 seconds. So every time you defeat enemies, you're getting nano cells, and then if your health goes down below 35%, you will recover a bunch of it really quickly, 37%. Okay, so that is the passive. Now the first skill, he attaches a drone on his shoulder, and this drone will attack enemies in front of you, and this will drain your HP. So if you see, there's an initial cost of 300, and then there's a continuous cost of 5% per second. Okay, so every second you are losing 5% HP, and you're doing damage, and as long as you have HP above 35%, you'll continuously do the damage. So basically, if you have these guys standing here, you activate your drone. Notice our HP going down 1769. That is the 5% we are losing, and enemies in front of you will take damage, and the number of enemies you hit with your drone depends on the range. Okay, so let me remove these range mods here. Okay, we remove these range mods. And if we activate this now, we are hitting only 2 enemies. Okay. If we put one range mod, so we put one range mod and we activate our first again, and we are hitting 4 enemies. So in order to hit the maximum 5, you need to have 300% range. So you can add a second range mod. I'll go with amplification control. Okay, so now with amplification control, we activate this and we are hitting 5 enemies. Also, the number of enemies you hit depends on how close you are standing. If you go up there, you'll only hit 2, 1, 3, 4. So around 12 meters or so is where you are hitting all 5. The second ability recovers your HP by firing a restructuring compound. This restructuring compound activates something called Arche response enzyme, and you can see the list of things that it does. Basically, it reduces the enemy. Basically, enemies take more damage. The resistance to firearm critical hit and skill critical hit decreases, and once you kill them, they recover 19.4% of your health. So basically, if you do this and if you keep spamming your second, every time the enemies die, you will recover some health. So let me actually make these guys not invincible so we can see this. All right, so I can see I have a little less than full health. Now I'll hit them with the second, and now if I do this, you can see I recovered my health because I had hit the guy with the serum, and then the number of enemies you kill, you get 19.4% recovery per enemy killed, and so you can basically recover your health. So yeah, so if you have your drone active, that will be draining your HP. And if you keep firing your second ability, the Serum, the enemies will be taking more damage, and every time you hit them and you defeat them, you'll be getting your HP back. So you can have this circle of not running out of HP and doing more damage and taking out enemies. So very simple system with the first two skills. The third skill is a big AoE, and he takes about 15% of his max HP and does a lot of damage in a wide 250% range radius, so which is 24 meters over here. All right, so if we just walk up somewhere here in the middle and you do this, you could practically take out everyone, couple at the end remaining. So this is a big AoE, and this takes up 15% of your HP. And then the fourth ability, this is again to recover your health. So this one here, if you activate this, you get 82.9% of your HP back. So pretty much all of it back. And then you have two statuses, purification and hyperactivity. The purification stage will give you debuff immunity, firearm critical hit damage increases, and skill critical hit damage increases. Now I'm not sure why they have increased the critical hit damage, because he doesn't have crit on this build. The hyperactivity, this increases your firearm attack increase amount, skill power goes up by 49%, and movement speed increases by 35%. So it makes sense to activate this every now and then. You have a 15-second duration, so activate this, have your two globes you can see on the left. As long as they are active, you are doing some damage and you're getting the extra skill power and things like that. So let me see the skill power increase, 1.38. So wait for this to end. We should be about 0.89. So basically that is the increase to the skill power. All right, so now let's look at the build and how to make adjustments depending on how much HP you want. So I've gone with some interesting pieces here, 2 pieces of the firebrand and 2 pieces of the pulsating, because they all give you a lot of HP. And as a result, I'm at 35, which is well beyond what we need for the cooldown. We need 25k for the 50% cooldown. The bosses have also been nerfed, so now there is no real reason to have that much HP. What you can do is you can go back to the Enlightened Mage set. So for now, I have 50% HP from here. I get 36.5 here, so that is 86.5. And then I have 5.5 here, which takes us well above 90. And as a result, if you see this one, 110 seconds is down to 11 seconds. Okay, so now let's say we want to put the Enlightened Mage, because we get non-attribute power from here. So we can take the non-attribute, and so we'll still have plenty. So we now have 20,000 HP. So instead of the 25, we have 20, and we will be at 40% cooldown. So with this one, what you can do is you can get the remaining cooldown. So if you see, we are at 19.8, so we want this to go down. So what we have is 40 here, 5.5 over here, and we have 36.5 over here. So that takes us to 37, 82. We need another 8%. So what we can do is, first thing we can do is we can swap out the reactor. So I'm using non-attribute and fusion. You can go with fusion and cooldown. So this way, because we are getting a lot more non-attribute from the Enlightened Mage set, the truth stack, so we can drop the non-attribute here. So now this will give us another 7.5. So this should take us all the way almost 11.7. You can use this. This is not 90%, but this should be very close, 89.4. So I think this is good enough. But if you still wanted to have it at 90, you can drop the fusion specialist and go with focus on fusion, and you'll be comfortably at your 90%. So over here you have 11.7. Over here you have 3.2. Only a 0.2 difference. So if you want, you can put it. Otherwise, you can keep the fusion specialist for more modifier. So basically, you can have something like this if you wanted to go with the Enlightened Mage, or if you feel like you want more HP, you can go with the 2 pieces of firebrand and 2 pieces of pulsating, and then adjust the cooldowns with the mods accordingly. So for the rest of the build, we are going with the Power Beyond on the trigger module. Now for the first 2 abilities, because these are projectile style abilities, you can also go with the Death by 1,000 cuts. So the Death by 1,000 cuts doesn't seem to work with just the first ability, so you have to use the second ability as well. And so basically you have your first ability and you hit them with your thing, and you should see the meteor now. So you can use this one if you want. I just go with the Power Beyond for the flat 15%. We don't benefit from the ground dots. but we do get the 15% flat power from the power beyond. This will increase our 15% here, and so it will give us a good balance of the different skills. Okay, and so for the rest of it, we need the 2 range mods over here. 1 MP conversion. We don't need the nimble fingers, for example. We have fusion specialist or focus on fusion depending on your build. You're using power increase, you can use focus on non-attribute if you wanted. We have fusion amplification, non-attribute amplification, and 2 HP mods in increased HP and stim accelerant. MP is not really an issue with Yujin. So all these mods that reduce your MP, they don't seem to mess anything with the MP consumption. So I'm more than happy to drop the 15% here and the 15% here. So yeah, so that is basically your build. Very simple, very straightforward. I'll come back to the Ancestors mod. For the reactor, like I said, we want materialized mixture reactor. You can go with cooldown and fusion or non-attribute and fusion depending on your cooldown setup. External components, once again, I'm going with the Enlightened Mage here. You can go with the 2 pieces of Firebrand and 2 pieces of Pulsating for more HP. And that will also help with your cooldown. Arche tuning looks like this. So we take the skills, take the MP recovery. We don't need the cost anymore because of the patch. And then we have the skill here, range here, enhance skill. Go up here, take the MP, take the cooldown, go right up here to the Arche chain catalyst mutant cell. There'll be a few nodes remaining, so you can take this these HP nodes here, and that will help you get over the 20k. And the inversion reinforcement also, I've made some changes because again, we don't need the skill cost, so we can go with the adrenaline surge, so movement speed increase when you hit an enemy. Over here you have enhanced cardio, more HP every 30 seconds, and then you can use deploy hardened shell to reduce the incoming damage. And yeah, for the weapons, you can have the Peacemaker in your hand. I've put some sprint cores on it. So you don't really need to build this, but if you want, you can have a look here. I'll not read it, but you can have a setup like this. Inside, you can have this. You can put Defense Master. And these 2 are basically for Valby and her unique ability. But yeah, this is a crit gun, so you can build with crit rate and crit damage. For the dog, go with the HP dog, the sheepdog, and that will be it. For the Ancestors mod, what you want is more fusion power, maybe a little bit of non-attribute. The one I have, the best one is this. Fusion skill power boost ratio 0.424 and non-attribute power 0.98. And I have negative range, which basically messes up the number of enemies I can hit. And activate my first ability. You can see we are only hitting 4 enemies. So I've lost that 1 enemy because of the negative range. So what I'm going to do, simple thing, is swap out the amplification control. Range, where is it? And so this will take our range back up. And once again, if we activate this, we will be hitting the 5 enemies. And your objective is to keep your first up all the time. So you can see now we are losing health. We can get the health back. Keep hitting the enemies with your serum. So whenever you defeat the enemies, you'll get your HP back. So that is basically how you play Yujin. Hopefully this was useful. I'll leave you with the footage for the new dungeon after the nerf. And yeah, let me know what you think. I think Yujin is pretty good now. Very fun to use and very, very good for solo mobbing. Probably as good as anybody else. Anyway, that's it. Thank you for watching. See you next time.
Out of the way. Activate healing zone. This might tickle. Take this. This might tickle. Out of the way. Let the heat. This might tickle. Take this. Out of the way. Take this. Out of the way. I'll make sure you recover. This may tickle. This might tickle. Let the healing begin. Out of the way. Healing has begun. Take this. This might tickle. Take this. This might tickle. Out of the way. Let's see this through to the end.